What's up, guys? This is Rise, and welcome to another video where I'm going to be showcasing you the new Aurorus with Meteor Beam, as well as Mantine and Noctowl to buffed wing attack users. I know we've been seeing lots of buffed wing attack users, and let me know if they're getting old, but to be honest, I think they're here to stay for the entire season. So we're going to be seeing lots of wing attack from everybody over the course of this season, and maybe as long as they're still very strong in the meta, which right now they are. And Aurorus is a fun Pokemon with a very good moveset. It was already solid, usable with Powder Snow Weather Ball. Powder Snow, a terrific fast move. It's actually a clone of like Vine Whip and Wing Attack now, I think. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Maybe Powder Snow still does one more base damage than Wing Attack. I'm not sure about that. But now with Meteor Beam, it gives access to a very hard-hitting charge move that's going to buff the attack every time for Aurorus. Before Meteor Beam, it would either run Ancient Power or Thunderbolt, which aren't the greatest moves in the world. So Meteor Beam just makes it all the more dangerous. And here we are with the Noctowl, and I actually decided there to let the Lugia farm me down, because this way I could get one extra Powder Snow. And if I had taken out the Lugia, I know the Cresselia might have like farmed me down. So that's a situation where I actually let him take out my Noctowl. I go for the CMP tie here against Cresselia, get the final shield, and I'm actually going to shield this because I know I can outpace to Weather Ball, which should just about KO since I'm buffed. Over farm quite a bit. I'm hoping the Weather Ball knocks out because I might be able to get off another Weather Ball. And oh wait, that was the last Pokemon. Let's go. I forgot what the third was. I was introing in the beginning. But a dominant win to start things off. Mantine got to take the battle off. You also see we don't have very good IVs on our Aurorus, but it's it's the Aurorus we're rocking with. So it tells you, right, like IVs aren't the end all be all. We talk about it from time to time. Like, yes, IVs are important. You can use PV Poke to try to determine like what the best IVs you want for a Pokemon, or the Ghost Stadium IV checker, but they're not the end all be all. You can get by with poor IV Pokemon if you're still making the right plays, the right calls. We're able to get our Noctowl here against Jellicent, and they're just going straight Bubble Beam. So I'm going to commit to a huge farm down here. I am going to get hit by 3 Bubble Beams, which is unfortunate, because now I'm triple debuffed, so my damage is not going to do very much to whatever comes in. And it is a Nidoking. This caught me off guard. You don't see Nidoking too often, but we're going to do our best to take this guy out. Sky Attack coming through. And then we're gonna play aggressively and swap into our Credilli. And the reason I was comfortable doing this, swap into our Aurorus, we're met by the Credilli, is because I knew there was a Credilli in back, right? So even if my opponent catches, well, they're catching a Weather Ball, that's still gonna be super effective. So I was okay doing this. I think I could have farmed down there, but check out what happens. He shields, then I got back-to-back Weather Balls. So what ended up being a mistake by me actually ends up turning into a plus, because we get both shields from the Credilli. And now I can simply just let my Aurorus go. We can Wing Attack down. And Mr. Mantine, the Stingray, is going to seal the deal there for victory. By the way, anybody fans of Cobra Kai, the character Stingray, he's a funny character. And when whenever I hear the phrase Stingray, I think of him now. And Mantine is basically a Stingray. So Steelix, a little bit tricky. Our back line kind of wants to avoid Steelix, so we're just going to stay in here. Chip away with Weather Ball. Of course, Meteor Beam would be resisted by that Steel typing. Oh wait, Meteor Beam would be double resisted by the Steel and Ground typing. Leonardo in the comments already has already corrected me. Rise. Both steel and ground resist rock. That would be double resisted, not single resisted. I know, Leonardo. I know you're on top of your game. I caught myself. It's early in the morning when I'm recording this. We're still waking up, I guess. And we're going to take this move from Steelix. It's just a Psychic Fangs. He swaps into Pelipper. And I'm like, okay, if he's just going to go straight Weather Ball, I guess I'll just take this and get off my Ice Beam. Going to get off my Ice Beam and then swap into Noctowl, I think, to clear my debuff. Actually, I'm going to stay in. And this was kind of unnecessary. I'd probably almost rather take the Weather Ball than I would catch it, to be honest, since it would have been resisted on Mantine. At this point, I'm probably going to shield, right? Yeah, going to shield just to maintain some health. I don't want to be in a situation where I get fast moved down before I've committed any shields. Does Steelix come back in? I'm not sure. I think it was in Shadow Ball range, right? He tries to catch on his Quag. And we've got lots of energy here. I don't think double Shadow Ball is enough either, so I decided to just go straight Sky Attack. Who knows? Maybe double Shadow Ball would have been enough, but I thought this was the safer play. I'm going to swap into Mantine just to use it as an extra shield, essentially. And now I should be able to use my final shield and Wing Attack down. And a good little cheat to remember is if a Quagsire throws a move, no matter how much energy it has to be at least 2 mud shots away from its next move. So I knew I could do 2 Wing Attacks. I get the farm down and I can throw Shadow Ball here for the knockout and get the win. Of course, that's presuming Quagsire is running the typical moveset of Stone Edge Earthquake, because even if you're at 100 energy and you throw a 55 energy Stone Edge, you're at 45 energy. It's 9 energy per mud shot. It's going to be 54. And then one more at 63 energy, so 2 mud shots to get to another move. Good lead here against Latias. They swap into a Vig, and I'm like, huh. It took me a second to react here. I know Vig is so spammy that it can flip the Mantine matchup in the Zero Shield. So that's why I decided to throw a Weather Ball first. Potentially a questionable decision by me. Might have been better just to swap in Mantine right away, because even though I got the shield, Vigoroth starts with this huge head start of energy. I'm going to go for an Ice Beam. It goes unshielded, and now I have to make a decision whether I want to shield this or not. I'm really hoping I can farm this down. I don't have to expend energy here. He swaps into Politoed. I Ice Beam. I think this is a mistake. I think I should have just Bubble Beamed here. I think the Ice Beam it's not going to do much anyway, so I may as well have just like debuffed it instead. And we had to make a call there. We had to make a call that they weren't rocking Blizzard. And I just thought to myself in my head, you know what? I'd rather get hit by a Blizzard than I would shield a Weather Ball in this scenario. And he actually expends his last shield on the Shiny Poly. So I'm like, okay, maybe my Aurorus can sweep now as we get this Politoed low. We're going to land the Shadow Ball here. This is going to do a ton of damage to Latias. And it is a Charm Latias. We Powder Snow down. Here, I anticipate the Vigoroth, so I farm it down. And I go for Weather Ball here. This is a bit of a misplay, because I thought the Poly was lower than it actually was. So the better play would have been to simply commit to the Meteor Beam there. But it doesn't matter. I still get to a second Weather Ball and knock out the Poly. But yeah, should have just committed to the Meteor Beam there. For some reason, I thought it was in Weather Ball range when it wasn't quite in Weather Ball range. Nice little win. Aurorus double flyer, putting in a little bit of work. And we get a tough lead here against Vig. So we're going to use Noctowl as our safe swap. They're staying in, which is good for us. Means they don't have an obvious hard counter to knock. Gonna chip us with a Body Slam. Getting off my Sky Attack. Noctowl should win the Zero Shield scenario, which is good for us because we could at least leave this with a shield advantage if he decides to stay in. Yeah, so here we see our Sky Attack coming through. Excuse me. Will he decide to commit a shield? He will, to take switch. So, okay. We're not able to take switch, but at least we got shield advantage. Gonna come in with Mantine. Unfortunately, I think he'll reach 2 body slams here before we could wing attack down. So that's why you see me expend a shield, and then he comes in with Jelly. And this is not good. This is not good. This is worse. I shield a Bubble Beam. Wait, I remember when this happened, I was curious if did he even do 5? Let's just go back a split second. He swaps. 1, 2, 3, 4. He only did 4, dude. He only did 4, and I shielded it anyway. That just shows you I'm not paying attention. Oh my goodness gracious. Just a horrible shield by me. Gonna go for Meteor Beam here. Bang. Still does a lot of damage, man. It is a strong move. We eat the Shadow Ball. Go for another Meteor Beam, and it's CMP, so this is good. We take it out, but there's a slash, and yeah. So theoretically, even if I didn't misplay by not shielding the Bubble Beam, I think we were still in a tough spot. And we come away with a 4-1. If I don't shield that Bubble Beam, maybe there's some play there. But I think we were still in a tough spot regardless. Catch the little Metatite as a reward. And we'll keep on churning. How's everybody feeling so far in this season of Go Battle League? Are you guys liking the updates? Are there any new Pokemon that you've been using that you're really liking? Any teams? Feel free to let me know what you're rocking in the comments down below. I'm always looking for new teams to rock during my streams from day to day in the Go Battle League. And let's see, we got a whole nother set to go. Let me fast forward a little bit. And here we are, rank 9. Eduardo. Tough lead, dude. Tough lead here. A bit of a court breaker. So because of our Ice Rock typing, we're going to take neutral damage from these Incinerates. With Rock resisting fire, Ice being vulnerable to fire. I decide to eat the Rock Tomb. I go for a Meteor Beam here. Not sure if I live this Incinerate. And I end up getting to another move. And I was wishing I would have baited the first one, but my opponent miscounts and they actually commit another Protect Shield. So they did not need to commit that shield. So we are very fortunate in that regard. They swap into a Dugong, dude. I'm like, oh my god. This is so bad. This is so bad, dude. Just a total core breaker in the lead. And this Dugong, man, is going to be a nuisance for our Noctowl. At this point, I'm thinking, like, this game is totally over. I mistimed there. I thought he might, like, throw right away. He didn't. Maybe I just mistimed in general. I'm not sure. I decide to let this go. And I guess I'm just praying at this point that there's something super weak to Mantine, or, like, something that Ice Beam could potentially one-shot. But no, it's a Ferrothorn. So I'm going to top left. We played until there was no longer a win condition. And then we called it a day. Oh, I checked who that was on stream because that team just made absolutely no sense. So, I mean, maybe he's doing like auto-rect. Maybe he's just having fun with a team triple weak to counter. But right, if he sees a counter user, he essentially just loses. And his team hard countered ours. So I was like, man, what are the chances of that? We go for a Weather Ball here against Euphis. This is where we want to see a Euphis. It's our best answer to it. He's going to be able to dish out super effective Mud Bombs. However, Aurorus is like fairly tanky. It's got a decent amount of bulk to the point where it can live a Mud Bomb, as you see. Weather Ball will certainly dish out a good chunk of damage. This thing is not comfortable enough to like farm down, so that's why I'm going to commit another shield here. Gonna just... Oh, I'm actually going to catch the Mud Bomb here. Okay. Catch the Mud Bomb, save a Weather Ball for later. In comes Froslass. I decide to shield because this way I can go for Shadow Ball and guarantee I get a shield off of Froslass. And this way, if the Froslass is willing to commit a shield, then I'll be able to Meteor Beam it. So I think I do like this play, to be honest, by me, because I think it makes a lot of sense. Because now I can come in and I can Meteor Beam, and it'll essentially be Mantine against whatever is in back. Meteor Beam knocks it out. And you saw me almost blind swap there. This was kind of dumb. Obviously, I should have just done the Weather Ball, but I thought he was going to catch it for sure. So I just kind of outplayed myself there. And then he tries to go for the catch. I just play it safe by going for a Bubble Beam. I probably could have wing attacked down, it looked like. But better safe than sorry. We take out Fisk. We go for the Ice Beam. Bang. And now Noctowl will need to expend energy to take us out. And we have that Weather Ball stored for the Noctowl. Shadow Ball almost knocks us out. One wing attack does. And we have the game-winning Weather Ball stored with our Dinosaur. G to the G. G to the G. Next opponent, what do they got for us? Takushaka. Cool name, good lead for us. They swap into Goon. We don't have an obvious answer to Goon, so we have to go Mantine. Yeah, nothing too fancy here. I think I'm just going to go for the Ice Beam. Guarantee a good amount of damage or a shield. But as you see, Mantine has a nice, like, typing. It's good situationally. But in terms of neutral matchups, it's not the greatest. Because, like, if I wasn't super quick to swap out here, Goon could very well flip the zeros. In comes Galv. And I'm like, okay. This is alright. Like, Galv has a 2-volt switch head start, which is a little uncomfortable. I decided to shield this up because I know my Aurorus can outpace the Galv. Going for Weather Ball here. I feel like going for Meteor Beam is just a little bit unnecessary. I feel like if he shields a Meteor Beam, I could be putting myself way behind, whereas Weather Balls are still going to do significant damage. Going to throw Weather Ball here, and I will outpace to a third Weather Ball just before his next charge move with Galv. So I throw this Weather Ball instantly, and this should put Galv low enough to the point where Noctowl should be able to farm down before it gets to a move, and Noctowl should also be Golbat in the zero shield scenario. So I'm feeling pretty good here, unless this Golbat's running like Sludge Bomb. Does Golbat have Sludge Bomb? Or am I just making things up? But yeah, typically they're running Poison Fang, Shadow Ball, obviously. And we should be able to live 2 Poison Fangs from this range. And the next Sky Attack will certainly knock out the Golbat. Noctowl, showing why it's arguably the best flyer in the game right now. Flapping away and getting the victory. Let's go. Aurorus trying to keep this train rolling. And it's on to the next one. Lapras lead. This okay, forewarning. This opponent, I don't know what they were doing. They played this super weird. If I remember this game correctly. I go for the Meteor Beam here. They shield it. I decide to shield, I think. And they surf. Okay. I go for the Weather Ball bait, trying to get a shield. I do get the shields. That's big. I'm going to shield in return, and they Skull Bash me. Yo, opponent, bro. What are you doing? Why are you Skull Bashing? Surf would do more. But we're able to knock it out. In comes a Wobbuffet. I decide the safer play is probably just go for the Meteor Beam here because it's the hardest move I could probably throw at this Wobbuffet. I bet it does even more than a Shadow Ball would do here. I tank the move with Knock. In comes a Sylveon. And we should be in a pretty good spot. I decide to chip here with a move. Then I swap into Mantine. I stored enough energy with Knock, so I'm confident I can get to a Shadow Ball. And I know that the Wobbuffet doesn't have much energy. So what I do here is a little bit weird. Instead of just taking it out, I actually decide to like undercharge this Bubble Beam. Just because I don't want to give the Wobbuffet like a huge farm on my Mantine. So we end up simultaneously going down. And then I can go for the Shadow Ball here. So yeah, a little bit unnecessary. I probably didn't need to do that since the Wobbuffet had like very little energy. But I just didn't want to give Wobbuffet like a huge farm down and then get to a move on my Noctowl. So that was the thought process there. Ugh. And I think we got one more battle, ladies and gents. Flavio. Exotic. Good lead against Dragonair. They're staying in, which catches me off guard. Then they swap in Ufisk. I'm like, okay, so I would like to have Aurorus on Nair, but I can't really switch out of this matchup. So I have to stay in here. I'm going to shield, especially since I'm ahead energy. I kind of want to put the pressure on with Aurorus. I throw in charge move priority here. Weather Ball gets a shield. Do I decide to shield here? I'm not sure. I do not. I let it go. I overfarm. Once again, throwing on CMP. Does our opponent elect to shield? They do. So we've gotten both shields. I'm like, you know what? I'll just maintain switch advantage because if I farm this down, like Dragonair, if it comes in, oh baby, Mandibuzz comes in. And this is gonna hurt. Triple weak to ice, dude. Triple weak to ice. We don't quite get to that last Weather Ball, so theoretically I should have swapped out, but it is what it is. We're just going to farm down here with Mantine at this point. And we have an Ice Beam just about ready for Nair. I decided just to play it safe. And I just Bubble Beam to get rid of this because, like, let's say Dragonair takes out my Mantine, right? There's no way it'll be able to take down the Noctowl after it's been chipped. So I just go for Ice Beam here. Opponent, they had a Body Slam, but they knew it probably wouldn't KO. So they don't elect to throw it. And that is a G to the G, man. Aurorus with Meteor Beam in conclusion. Really solid pick. These were in the Remix Cup, I believe. So it is, I think, definitely going to be a powerhouse in certain restricted metas. In the Open Great League, I think certainly has its play as well. But all that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below. All comments are appreciated. They help out the YouTube algorithm. And all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.